All right, so today on the Recovery Vow podcast, I've got a good friend, Kenneth, who's here, and he's going to be telling his story of what life has been like in recovery in the first year. He's the first guest I've had to talk about that, but you'll hear a few things in his story that I hope resonates with you, and that's one is the importance of being sober for yourself first so that you can be sober for your children, specifically your son in this case. The understanding that separation still happens in marriages. Not all marriages will make it, but still being a good co-parent for your children, and just understanding what struggle is like in addiction to meth, but what recovery is like today. All right, on today's episode of the Recovery Vow podcast, I've got a good friend of mine, Kenneth. Kenneth and I met, I guess we met at church. He used to serve on one of the teams.
Yes, I served just a few times on your security team.
Security.
Yes.
We don't use the word security anymore. We use safety because we want to be like Disney.
It was probably safety then.
Yeah. Because we have so many cowboys that come in there and they want to just shoot anything that moves. No. So, yeah, thank you for serving on the safety team, Kenneth.
Enjoyed it.
Glad to have you here, man.
Glad to be here.
So, on today's episode, we're going to be talking about your story. And we tell stories all the time on here, but one thing that I thought was really cool is when this comes out, you will have 1 year in sobriety. Yeah. And what I want you to tell everybody that's going to be listening to this podcast is what has this last year looked like and what did it take for you to take that first step? So tell us what you think.
This last year has been an emotional roller coaster in every aspect of life, but it has given me a lot of trials and tribulations for sure that I thought it would be way easier, honestly, to stay sober a year. But the reward has been so tremendous. I'm the employee that I wanted to be while I was under the grips of addiction. I'm the father that I wanted to be, which is so important. I used for close to 10 years.
What were you using?
Meth.
Meth.
My drug of choice was meth. And I always wanted to coach my kid in baseball, but I never had the guts or the courage, much for the reasons not just of addiction, but never have done coaching at all, and also not having enough. I felt like I didn't have enough experience in playing baseball myself. And
y'all do that travel ball where y'all go practice in like Dubai and then you have to be in Australia the next morning?
He doesn't.
Okay.
He wants to. So
okay.
I'm down with whatever he wants.
I don't know if you'd
We've
drank the Kool-Aid.
Experienced it.
Okay.
We have experienced it, but it's definitely rewarding. But I never in a million years would have ever coached him up under the influence. I had 10 million excuses.
Yeah. How many kids you have?
Just one.
Just one son?
I got a 13-year-old son, and I got a stepson I still claim. He just turned 16 yesterday.
That's awesome.
So, 2, really.
Wait a minute. My wife's birthday was yesterday, too.
Really?
No. Was it the 19th?
It's 19th.
Yeah, that was yesterday. Yeah, that's my wife's birthday. Happy birthday, Kristen.
Mm-hmm. Happy birthday, lady.
But I remember you coming to me, like, at the end, and you're like, bro, I can't do this anymore.
I could not do it anymore. I don't know. I guess everybody's low is different. My low was I was just miserable.
You were still married at the time?
I was not.
No.
My ex-wife left me 2 years before I got sober, and everybody's low is different. You would think that if you have a beautiful family, a beautiful wife, a career, and nice things, vehicles and campers and a house and pool, those are the things I lost in addiction, and none of it was ever enough. Her leaving wasn't enough, and it took 2 more years, and I cannot tell you what the switch was. At one point I thought it was when she started dating a fella, and he was amazing. It wasn't that. I called her from rehab and I said, I forgive you. I know that sounds so cliche, but I couldn't forgive her. I knew I needed to forgive her. I knew she had plenty of reasons to leave. I definitely gave her plenty. And I called her up and I was like, I forgive you. I was like, I don't know today. I called her on the way here and said, I do not know if I would be sober today if you had not left. And that's hard to say because it still hurts.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful that she did leave because it hurt. It needed to hurt. I needed to get low enough on my own. I tried to get sober many times by myself. I tried to get sober for her or my kids or my job. And until I done it for me and asked God, please help me. God, I cannot do it. And that's what it took. It took me getting on my knees at 2:30 in the morning, smashing a meth pipe in the toilet and saying, God, I can't do it no more.
Tell me about that night.
That night, I had hurt my hand at work, and I was working on Fort Gordon, and I got a little bitty cut, and it swelled up the size of a softball, and it hurt so bad I couldn't use. So I was laying down, crashing, waking up in the middle of the night, trying to smoke meth, and then go back to sleep, which that makes
You're not going to
no
happen
sense at all.
Because that stuff's supposed to keep you up.
It's supposed to, and I said, God, I cannot do it anymore. I'm going to end up where all of us addicts end up, typically, is either dead or in jail. And I was like, please, just take this stuff from me. I cannot do it anymore. I was miserable. My son wasn't coming around as much as he used to. We were still, have a relationship, but it was nothing like it should have been. It's nothing like it is now. And I was like, God, please. And I called somebody. I was like, hey, I got this much stuff. If it's on my safe when I wake up, I'm flushing it too. And it was gone. And I called or texted you the next day. And I said,
Did
hey,
you?
yeah, on Messenger. I hit you on Messenger and said, Eric, I saw your story at church, and it's inspiring. And I don't know if I can. At the time, I wanted to try to keep my job, and I did while I made it through recovery.
I do remember that because I think I encouraged you to go away.
You did. You was like, whatever you do, don't go to rehab here. And I was like, I'll go wherever it takes my insurance, wherever I can get in, wherever it's crazy. I flipped over my insurance card that night, and I called the number on. I called some numbers that you sent, and every one of them just, whoever will take me first, I'm coming. And none of the numbers on my insurance card worked. And yours, I think, was Boca Recovery Center, I want to say, in Florida, was one of them. And they had to open in like 2 weeks. And I said, you know what, let me just try Google. So I Googled, I am a drug addict and I need help. And I have Blue
Is that
Cross.
what you put in the search
think
bar?
I'm kidding. And I said, I need help. I have Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance from North Carolina. And the first 1-800 number I called, it's like, can you get on a plane today at 2 o'clock? That was like,
That's
funny.
how it happened for me too. They were like,
Yep.
you can go today.
Yep, and they was like, Will's up today, buddy, not tomorrow, today. And I said, I need 1 day to find somebody to watch my animals. And they said, all right, you get 1 day. And I was like, I'm good with that. And
Did you think that you would want to use that day, or you just wanted to take care of the animals?
You know, I actually showed up at rehab sober. I did not use at all. And of course, they gave me a drug test when I got there, and they was expecting to send me to detox. I'm like, no, I hadn't used, and I think at the time it was 3 days or 4 days. And what's crazy is God made it. That was actually the easy part. I didn't have all these withdrawals that I hear from a lot of people. The emotional roller coaster was bad, but I had no physical withdrawals. I wanted to sleep a lot, but the willpower to be better, to be the person that I knew I was deep down, the person that I knew God wanted me to be, you told me that day, this will be the best decision you make for the rest of your life. And I just kept telling myself that. I'm like, it's going to be hard. And I didn't even know where I was going. I ended up in Boston.
Well, that's good. And the reason I told you that you don't need to go here is I learned that when I was in treatment, some people, they'll be able to call a ride or a friend or something like that. Hey, come pick me up. I'm over here at XYZ Recovery Center. Some people call it Uber. And I think you can leave. But I remember flying in the middle of the night and got there. I was the same way. I was so exhausted. I had no idea where I was at. I mean, I knew I was in the state of Florida. I really didn't know where, though. Mm-hmm. And they picked me up at the airport and took me. So I don't know if you had a similar experience, but that was I'll never forget them saying the importance in not going to treatment in the same area where you used was key. Do you feel like if you were going to help another person, you feel like that was the same for you?
I would have to agree, because the first weekend, we actually didn't start any kind of program or counseling or anything until Monday. So those first 2 days in Boston were so bad because I was emotional, I was withdrawing still, and I probably stayed on the phone with my son 9 hours a day. And he was probably like, Dad, please just go to bed. Yeah. And I was so.
He knew you were. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh,
you.
yes.
He knew you were a drug addict.
And my son, I have been so a lot of parents might not, or a lot of addicts may not feel like this, and every kid is different. Unfortunately, he had already been exposed to a lot of things he probably should never have been exposed to. But I've been 100% transparent with him. I'm trying not to get emotional, think about it, but
No, you can get emotional. Man.
my mom and my aunt and my family cleaned up my house while I was gone, and they've never.
They did the same thing. I lived in a trailer.
Yep.
They did the same thing. It was the most embarrassing thing they had to do. Man, I remember my mom told me, she's like, you were peeing in cups. I'm like, I don't know why I was, but I was. I was peeing in cups because I didn't want to leave the little space I was in, I guess.
I get it.
I was in the living room of this mobile home, and man, I don't really remember why I was doing that, but we were just stupid.
I can remember doing it too. I've never thought about that, but I used to pee in cups in my garage. Like there's an outside right there
Yeah.
for a bathroom, 2 of them in the house.
Yeah.
But I used to do
It's
the
like our
same
safe
thing.
zone.
It must have been. I can't explain a lot of things I've done while I was in addiction. But how I got almost arrested in my front yard butt naked one time. And my ex-wife, she's like, she's never been around drugs or a whole lot of, never done drugs. And she said, I honestly did not know how to handle it. And I had gotten out of hand a few weeks prior to that experience. This was right before she left. This happened between Thanksgiving and Christmas. She left the day after Christmas, rightfully so. And she's like, the first time it happened, I told her, I said, next time it happens, if I'm really that bad, just record me. I want to see what it looks like. Till this day, I cannot watch that video. I don't even know how long it is.
You were on meth?
Yes. I was on meth. I had smoked weed and drank all within a 3-day period. I called it the trifecta.
I had a lady on the podcast, and you listeners, you can go back and watch Ivy, the Ivy family. She went and she was getting gas naked, and she was using meth. So if you want to stay up and you want to take your clothes off,
It'll do it.
do meth.
Do meth. It will get.
But please don't do meth, because
Please don't ever.
So when you got there and you were sick those first 2 days, I remember those days. It was the detox and the sleeping when you could, but when you woke up Monday and you started this program, how long were you there in Boston?
I think a total of 20 days or 21 days. I didn't stay as long as they wanted me to, just really because my insurance, it was $43,000 for those days.
It's expensive.
It is expensive.
People always ask when they the me like wanting help. The only 2 questions I always ask: do you want it? Do you have insurance?
Yep.
Because people you can get help, good help without insurance, but you can get really good help with insurance coverage.
And I had a heart-to-heart with the fellow that was running the place, because he's like, Kenny, if you go home, I just wanted to be home for my 40th birthday with my kid. And I told him before I came, hey, man, promise me I'll be home before my 40th. And now I know, and that made no sense. He would have told me anything to get me there.
Yeah, come on down.
But I really wanted to be home for my 40th and with my son. And I told him, I said, hey, everybody that lives here in Boston, they get to go home for the weekend or Sunday and spend it with their family, and they take a drug test when they get back. Let me fly home to Georgia, see my son, and I'll fly back. And he was like, no dice, no dice. So I didn't complete his program, but I told him, I was like, I know you've probably heard this a million times, but I'm not going to be that guy that ever sees you again. It was a pleasure meeting you, but I'm going to use as much determination as you think that I'm going to fail. I'm going to use it as fire to make sure I succeed. And I did. I have so far. And I don't plan on letting my kid down. I don't plan on letting me down.
Yeah, because you can do so much for your kid, but you have to do it for yourself first.
You
That's
really
the
have to
selfish
do it.
side of recovery, but it's the beautiful side of recovery too.
Oh, it's amazing. They tell you, your financial insecurity will disappear, and the hopelessness and the feeling of being worthless will disappear. And in just a year's period of time, I've swapped jobs a few times. As soon as I got back, I got fired from the job that I had.
Because you were worried about that. You were thinking
was.
that because there's what's it called, FMLA,
Yep.
that protects you in your job, but when you got back, they let you go?
They let me go, rightfully so. I still didn't have a whole lot of energy when I got back, and they sent me to do a job one afternoon, and I just didn't have the energy. So I sat in my van. I was like, and you told me this, God will see you through it. The doors will open and the doors will close that are supposed to. And I was like, God, I cannot get out of this van. I was spent still even though I'm almost a year sober, I still struggle with having enough willpower to make it through a 50-hour work week. But My boss called me that afternoon. He said, "Hey, did you do what I told you today?" I said, "No, sir, I didn't." And he cut me off. It was a Friday. He cut me off. He's like, "I don't want to hear it," and that was it. I was gone.
Yeah.
And I was like, I tried to explain myself, and he's, not everybody's an addict or knows an addict, so I understand. I don't have any ill will towards the man.
Right.
He let me go, rightfully so. I didn't do
He's
the job he told me to do.
Yeah, he's got a job to do.
That's exactly right.
And I told you this: you're going to have things that happen that you'll have to deal with life on life's terms. I mean, that's what regular people do.
Yes.
That don't have an addiction. They deal with it, process, and move on, and just make it better.
So the next job I got, I was still doing heating and air, and I was on the road a lot. I was home every night. I made a promise to my son and to them. They made to me that I would be home every night, but I was traveling 6.5, 7 hours a day on the road.
Yeah.
And I'm not the best driver. So I was like, God, please just get me home. Get me a job at home where I can, be a single dad and just pay my bills. And I think that's one thing in recovery. We take the chances that we would never take. Maybe if we had never been an addict, I may not have taken the chances that I do now. It's like we have failed so much. We already know what that feels like.
Yeah.
People ask, I had a coworker the other day said, why is it that when people do get out of addiction, do they do great things? I told him, I said, this is my simple answer. If we already know what it's like to fail. So why not try?
Yeah. I was having a conversation with someone yesterday about that, and they're like, it was a guy in recovery. Oh, it was Mike Diamond from Intervention on the show A&E, Intervention show. And he said that he's the same way. People question him all the time, like, why do you do all these things, whether it's successful or not? It's the try. And I think it's the same drive. Like, we're not going to fail when it's time to go get meth or if it's time to go get cocaine. We're going to do or go wherever it takes.
That's exactly
It's the
right.
same. You replace that with these goals that you have set in your mind. I want this to be successful. And okay, I'm going to go a little deeper here. There's a documentary I've watched a couple of times. It's called The Secret. I remember watching this when I first got into recovery, and it's about the laws of attraction, not about looks. This isn't a whole lot worth looking at. It's about the like this aura or this presence that you put off. Not that you get things what you want, but if you tell yourself that you want to be in recovery and be successful, those things will happen. If you want that job or you want to change who you are, it's something about that clicks in your head, in your mind, in the way that you think, that you put that off and those things will happen. I know it sounds crazy, but I've been doing this for 14 years now in recovery. I've watched it. Like, I've tried not doing it, just like living life day to day, check the box, in and out, whatever. But then, like, really driving the train, walking through the doors that are put in front of you, it will change your life. I'm telling you right now. So I think that's what's happening. So when that guy at work asks you that, that's why you say that with confidence now. Like, well, I'm in recovery. I know what failure looks like, but I'm okay trying it.
That's exactly right. I tell him all the time, he's like, how does a guy like you bounce back from something like that? And God.
Yeah.
and he's a brother in faith too. And I tell him.
And he asked you that?
Mm-hmm. I tell him, so you just need to keep praying.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have it figured out.
Yeah.
He probably has it figured out more than I do. I'm like, I don't know. We do inspire each other. We do attract one another that want good things out of themselves. There is a law of attraction to it. It's crazy how it works.
And you'll find people, that guy doesn't sound like he's one of them, but you'll find people where, like you'll tell me every month, hey, I hit 6 months. Hey, I hit 7 months. Hey, I hit 8 months. And you want to share that with me, not because you want me to be proud of you, because you know that I'm going to celebrate with you.
Yes.
Like, this is major. One day is the same as 1 year or 15 years. It's the same exact feeling. And it's not like that drug where we're chasing that high. This is how good it feels every day.
I still struggle with that every day. I feel guilty for some reason for celebrating that.
Why?
I don't know. I cannot explain it. I think the emotions are still very much so. Obviously I'm a lot more level than I was, but I still. They tell you don't make any big decisions for a year. Don't date anybody for a year. And at first I thought that was ludicrous. I thought it was crazy.
No, it's true.
And 6, 7, 8, 9 months, I'm like, maybe they know a lot more than I want to give them credit for.
They do, and there's something to that.
It is.
don't get a plant, don't get a pet, don't get a partner. I'm serious, because those are responsibilities you're just not ready for.
You're just not ready for them.
So those 20 days you spent there, you just dove in and you did the work.
I was probably the A+ student. I would like to think I was the best student out of the group. Just really glued the men's house together, and done everything I could to try to make us, because ultimately we're all fighting the same demon.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to see any of us fail. I still keep in contact with a lot of guys from the men's house, and we stay in touch, and not all of them are success stories. That's something else that I'm thankful that I went away for, because their troubles, trials, and tribulations are there. They're not here. And that's something else I'm realizing. Not everybody's failure has to be mine.
Yeah.
So I can give them encouragement from a distance, and it's a long distance, which is helpful.
That's good. And you're not responsible for them.
No, I'm not. And that's something I'm so thankful to be sober, to be almost back to who I was. I'm not going to say I'm back to who I was yet.
You're getting there.
I'm getting there.
Hey, Ethan, am I slouching too much? Okay.
Me?
Appropriate amount of slouching.
Okay.
But that's good.
Okay. You talk about those folks that you connected with while you're there. Do you stay in touch with them now? How many out of that room? Like, I remember being there, and they said, 10% of you are going to make it, and then 10% you're going to fail or die, or not the 10%. The rest of you will fail or die. Are you in contact with the good many people that you met there?
Probably 4 or 5. I don't know any of them that are still sober.
Really?
No, unfortunately. I don't know any of them besides myself.
Jamie, can you pull up, like, what is that accurate? What's the success rate in men in their first year of sobriety?
2%.
Is it 2?
I think I Googled it a long time ago, but I'm not. I got the memory of a mosquito, so it's liable
Let's
to
see
be
what
wrong.
it says. Alcohol relapse rate and statistics. Relapse rates for alcohol addiction hover around 40 to 60%, which is similar to the relapse rates for other chronic diseases like asthma and hypertension. I didn't know that asthma and hypertension were considered. You can relapse. I didn't know you could relapse on that.
Right.
Primary triggers. What was that? 65% of individuals recovery report that stress is the primary trigger for relapse. So that would be people that can't handle
Plants.
life on life terms.
Plants.
Plants.
Partners.
Plant. Oh, you weren't talking about this kind of plant. You're talking about where you work at kind of plant.
No, I thought you said don't get a plan.
Oh, yeah. Plant, a partner, or a pet.
There you go.
Yeah.
those stresses.
Yeah. No, that's good. And so, all right, let's talk to the old Kenneth as a daddy and as a husband. If you could go back into one moment in your in your addiction and say this would be a start over point, when would that be? So, and the reason I'm asking you this is because if there's going to be a guy or even a girl that listens to this episode, the importance of understanding that there's so much success from day 1 to day 365 in that first year, that's a big milestone. But you relive some of the stuff in that time where you messed it up. So if you could go back to that one day, because this could be that person's one day that listens to this episode, right? This could be their day.
They're there.
So what would be the one day that you think about where you could have changed things? Do you remember?
One day that I would have changed things,
Where you feel like if I'd have done this day differently,
I would have never started.
you'd have never started?
Oh man, I wish I could take it back to that one. The first time I used, everybody's got a different reason or reasons for using. I remember mine like it was yesterday. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to escape reality, and I wanted to lose weight. And if I could just go back to that person, I would say just don't ever try it. Never do it.
How old were you when you first
This
started?
is the part I've been waiting to tell you. I always hear you ask, and I'm here most time kids are in their teens when the first time they use. I was in my late 20s the first time I ever used.
Really?
Yes.
Was it from somebody else, or you just decided?
It was from a coworker. It was actually from a fellow that worked for me, and we had a job that needed to get done. And he said, "Hey, man, you want to do a bump?" And I was like, "What's that?" And he's like, it's meth. And I was like, oh, well, no, I don't want to do that. He's like, well, you see what we done yesterday? I was like, yeah, it was hot outside. It was miserable, blah, blah, blah. I wish I would have never, ever done it. Ever, not the first time, not even once.
Because you didn't know then that you were an addict.
I didn't. I had no clue.
Like it unlocks something, right?
I don't know when the switch flipped from just using occasional drugs from some folks to me. I could never, when I was younger and drank, I drank a day or two and never looked back. You know, never had a problem with alcohol. It was always just meth. I could never get enough. There was never a stopping point. I would do every bit of it I could get my hands on, and just function. It was horrible.
What was what did meth make you feel like? What did it give you? And I'm not asking you to relive this because I want you to get that feeling back like you miss it. I'm asking you to, so you can just say, this is why. Because if you were addicted to meth but you weren't addicted to alcohol, I want to know what it was about it. Was it the feeling, or because you got the work and you were productive?
It was the productivity. And to start with, it was the always being able to stay awake. I hated to sleep. It was the being able to stay up 8, 9, 10, 11 days in a row. And I felt like I was getting so much accomplished. I remember when I lost my job that I had majority of my life, which was working at Sid Cox. I remember when they let me go and they're like, you got a problem. And I'm like, I've got to be producing more than everybody else. And they're like, you're actually producing less than everybody else. And I'm like, are you kidding me? But I was always chasing that to stay awake, to feel like I was going to get something accomplished. And we all know where it ends. You don't get anything accomplished. You can't even, keep yourself taken care of.
How long were you from the late 20s? You're 40 now, you said. So you 10 years worth of it?
10 years. It was right at 10 years.
Okay, here's a question I never ask anybody. I'm going to ask you this question. How much money do you think you spent on your addiction?
Man, there is no telling. For one, is the biggest loss was probably a truck that I had. I was a quarter mile from work and totaled out the nicest vehicle I ever had. So that's $35,000.
How much were you doing?
I paid at least $250,000. At least. That's probably a conservative number.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how much money I spent when I was in business for myself before I really went off the deep end. How much money I spent. Oh, I would hate to even try to get a number on that.
I mean, it's always, I know that I'm that age now. Like, I'm Googling who's in movies now, and I'm doing math for no reason. Like, okay, how much did I actually spend, or how much was I actually doing? And so that's why I asked that, because it is, okay, like when I used to smoke cigarettes. Like, okay, if I smoke a pack a day, how much would I save at the end of a year for not smoking it at all? So that's kind of where I was going with that. It's like, so if you could save $10 a day or $20 a day and just replace what you're spending on that habit to like a savings account, you'd be set.
I'd be retired probably.
I mean, you'd be set.
Could be. I know this. It doesn't. I never really spent a whole lot of money on the drug itself. Unfortunately, meth's pretty cheap. The thing is that it's the lifestyle that you live, and the things you don't take care of is where all your money goes. And just taking care of all the wrong people for all the wrong reasons. Yeah. You just get bled dry for all the wrong reasons. It was horrible.
When did the marriage end?
This Christmas will make 3 years. So what year is it? It's 2020. It's horrible. I don't even know what year I got divorced. I think it was
2025 is the year we're in right now.
So I think she left 2022, the day after Christmas of 2022.
But you guys are friends now.
We're still friends.
Because you said you talked to her on the way here.
I talked to her on the way here. When I get nervous, I still call. I think she's still annoyed that I call, but I still call. And she will never not answer the phone from me. But
is it because y'all are friends, or because y'all have to co-parent?
It's because we have to co-parent, 100%.
You think when your son is a certain age that communication will stop?
I probably so.
Think so?
I really do. I don't think she would ever be more than friends. I think I got better chances to win the lottery. As much as I would love for it to work out. I don't, I don't know what lies ahead. I can't see
and that's
the future,
okay.
But I hope.
Yeah.
She knows that I would do anything in the world to get a second chance again, or a millionth second chance.
If you had a resource, and I'm only going to bring this up because of the book I wrote that I told you about, but do you think if you caught her on that day, right, that day that I asked you if you could have changed anything, but let's say that it was a different day, like you caught her inside of some of your addiction or in recovery, do you think if y'all walked through that book, Marriage After Addiction, it would have gave you just maybe a little bit more oomph to try to get to the finish
100%.
line?
I think if I would have been smart enough to reach outside to ask for any help from anyone besides that circle I was standing in, I think I would have made a different choice.
By the way, are you still friends with any of those people in that circle?
Absolutely not.
That's important. Isn't
People, places, and things, 100%, none of them. It's crazy. She always told me, hey, you need to quit hanging out with this person or disassociate yourself with that. I am just now reconnecting with the friends that I have not spoken to in 10 years. And thankful, so thankful that they're still there. And they're like, this is the Kenny that we loved our whole life. We're so glad you're back.
That's
and I don't
awesome.
know why it took me so long to reach out to say, hey, I've been sober for a while, but it took me almost a year.
And they're proud of you.
They are so proud and so supportive and same thing with my family. I think that's one thing in addiction. You always feel like you're so isolated, so alone, that nobody loves you. You got a guilt party that's a mile and a half long. And just a few days of being sober, you start realizing there are so many people that not only want to help you, that want to see you succeed, that will do anything to help you succeed. And I'm thankful to all those people so much.
That's
Very
good.
Beyond thankful so much.
When you went to the place in Boston, was it a 12-step?
It was not a 12-step program. It was really a 30-day program. I don't want to say anything negative about them, but
No,
it
don't.
was.
The reason I'm asking is, do you work a 12-step program to get? Do you feel like they
I
help
still
you?
go to AA meetings.
Is there a meth? Is there a
No.
Meth Anonymous
I
group?
wish there was. I should start one.
You should start one. That'd be your small group.
I should. If I guess I'm feared that there's nobody else out there that's like me. That I know that there are. I don't do good with organization. And I don't do great talking in a crowd of people that I'm uncomfortable with something either. But I definitely need to. I want to. I really wish there was a better group, more suited for the NA part, the drug part, than the AA. I tell my sponsor all the time, I'm like, whenever y'all say alcohol, I just replace it with meth.
There's a girl that I know, Nicole. She started a group. It's in downtown Augusta, and it's more of an NA group.
Just started here recently.
Yeah,
I think
on
I heard
Saturday.
something about it.
Yeah,
I think I heard something about it.
she said they got like 30 or 40 people going,
Mm-hmm.
and it's brand new. Maybe I'd give it a shot.
I definitely should.
But did you work a 12-step program?
I did work a 12-step program. I worked a 12-step program when I got back, and still working a 12-step program. And
All right, what step are you on right now?
step 4. I know I should be further down the line.
4 and 9. It's a tough one.
Mm-hmm. It is tough.
There's not really a time limit on how fast you're supposed to go through it, just as long as you're going through it.
I'm going through it.
You'll
and
always be in the steps, right? You'll get to your maintenance steps at the end, 10, 11, and 12, right?
He keeps telling me, he's like, it's okay if you feel like you're bouncing around a little bit. I'm like, I definitely feel like I bounce around. And I probably should push at times to maybe move down the steps, but I think that I just let my sponsor tell me what I need to do, because I feel like I know how to do it wrong. I've done it my way, tried to do it my way for 10 years. So I'm all ears on what I need to do and willing to do whatever I need to do. It's like, you tell me what I need to do. If I need to be somewhere on Saturday, I'll be there. If I need to, and I make it happen no matter what.
So we discussed a lot about the addiction side, and I think that's important for listeners to hear. You need to hear the addiction side that people go through, the dark, so that you can relate to Kenneth. You can relate to what I've done. But tell me what recovery looks like for you today, almost 365 days in. What's the biggest thing you got back because you chose recovery outside of your son?
The relationship with my son is the biggest thing I got back. I got back peace. I got back not having to worry about everything, just being at peace and not worrying about it. I worried so much in addiction. I was telling my son yesterday when when he stays the night with me during the week, which is pretty often. I take him to his mom's before I go to work in the morning. He has to get up an hour earlier to stay with Dad. Don't. He stays with Dad more times than not just to spend time with his father. That's what recovery looks like for me.
That's
and
perfect.
Some days I don't get off till 6 o'clock, so that means that window And when I get up at 4:30 in the morning, that window is very narrow in the evening, but he still would rather get up an hour early to stay the night with Dad just for a few hours than to go home when his mom gets home at 5:30. That's
Yeah.
what recovery looks like now. And we're father and son, but we're best friends.
Mm-hmm.
We are so close. And I was telling him, I said, I don't know when the last time I can say that I've made it to work on time 120-something days in a row. It's been at least a decade.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, I'm so proud of the employee and the person that I am today versus a year ago, and thankful. The gratitude and the thankfulness is so key to staying sober to me.
Yeah.
And every time I think about it, he's probably tired of hearing it, but I'm like, hey, man, I just had this thought. It's been like 120-some days since I've been at Bridgestone, and I'm still sober, and I've been to work every day on time, and I hadn't called out of work. I'm like, that's a miracle, man.
That's really good.
Yep.
I remember in treatment, they said you'll be amazed before you're halfway through.
Yes.
That always blew my mind. Like, what does that mean? And when am I halfway? What am I halfway through with life?
Halfway through to what? I'm not sure.
Does that, you know what I mean?
12 steps? I get it. I say it all the time. People say in my AA group, they're like, you're so inspiring. You're contagious. The happiness that you have, the peace that you have is contagious. And I'm like, it's a fight every day. Don't think it's all sunshine and rainbows. It's not. But I am so thankful that I got on that plane.
Yeah.
And not just the work thing and the relationship with my son, but the relationship that I have with my family.
Yeah.
Me and my dad hadn't spoken in a few years, not even sure it was because of my addiction, but I'm sure it hurt.
Yeah.
But we talk a couple times a week, if not every day. I mean, my whole family, my grandmother, my mother, we all speak. My twin brother.
You got a twin?
I have a twin.
Like identical?
No, we're fraternal.
Fraternal, okay.
And he 100% quit talking to me because of my addiction. And I don't blame him. And some of my family members were shocked by that. And I told him, I said, I have to respect it for so many reasons. Because what if he would have still been my friend? Would he have been in addiction with me? I wouldn't want that for anybody.
Right.
And so he was protecting himself any way he knew how, anybody that cut somebody off from addiction. And I'm so thankful that he has allowed me back in his life. My whole family, I'm thankful they allowed me back in their lives. And they truthfully cast no judgment. They don't keep the number of wrongs. And I'm actually
That's what a good family's about.
It is. And I'm actually able to be a productive member of my family and check on folks and do what I'm supposed to do as a family member.
And that's important. You know, we're talking about your recovery side of it now, and you're thankful for the relationship you have with your son. I think that's amazing. I've got two sons of my own. Do you tell him about your addiction?
I do.
Okay. Why do you think it's important to tell him about your addiction? Is it because you're trying to guard him, or you just want him to know where you were and you want it to come from you?
I think I tell him for multiple reasons. I think I tell him because I don't ever want him to ever go down the path that I went down any way, shape, form, or fashion. I think that hopefully he can he probably has some of the same traits that I do. I hope that he can learn from my mistakes, my failures, and never cross those bridges and be better than me.
Mm-hmm.
And I also tell him to hold myself accountable. I remember coming back after my mom had cleaned the house and showing him, like, hey, I'm sure she thinks she's done a great job. She's never been a drug addict. Finding all the meth pipes and the torch lighters and, paraphernalia. I went through the house and we found everything that she didn't find that I could find, torch lighters. And I told him, I was like, if you find this, take it to your mother. I know that sounds crazy, but there was always that one person. I felt like I could fool everybody when I was up under the influence, except for my ex-wife. I would go straight retard around her. So I always told him, like, take it to your mother because she will hold me accountable more than anybody, and him too. And he's been.
You sound like you got a lot of confidence in your ex-wife.
I really do. I have a tremendous amount of confidence in my ex-wife. She is a great mother, a great woman. She was a great wife. I couldn't stop using. I couldn't do it. And like I said it before, I'm thankful that she did leave because I do not know if I would be sober today if she hadn't. And what if, or we're alive, or we're not incarcerated? What would have happened? I don't know.
Yeah.
It was getting pretty rough. So, I mean, that's where we typically end, dead or in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Or recovered.
You know, when I was smoking crack, and this is
So
I
crazy
thought about
hearing
this.
you say that.
Really?
When I listen to every podcast I listen to, I'm like,
Yeah.
can't believe
Well,
it.
it was funny because when you were telling the story about finding the torch lighters, I was replaying in my head being in that mobile home I lived in. Man, I used to burn my eyelashes and my eyebrows off because I couldn't find a lighter sometimes, and I would have matches, and I was trying to smoke while using matches.
Wow.
And if you get the one match too close to the other one, just like a whoosh. And I've done that so many times, and I don't know why when you tell that story, I was replaying that happening in my head.
Yes.
Sorry.
It's part of it.
So yeah, as we do wrap up though, I want to tell you you've done a great job. You've done a great job. There's nobody in the room, but you're talking to a lot of people out there that are going to listen to this podcast. And I know it's important to not do things like this until after you've got a year in. So I mean, but we're really close to April. And your sobriety date is when?
April 2nd.
April 2nd. Let me tell you something real quick why that date sticks out to me. And my wife, she won't get mad when I tell this story. My very, very first girlfriend, her name was Crystal. And we started dating when I was in middle school, and we dated off and on until I was in my 20s, even to the point when I separated from my wife, I went back to her. Her birthday was April 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
And I was with her the day she died because she was an alcoholic. Oh, and she drank so much vodka that, I mean, they said her liver was like pouring water on a table. Like it just didn't function anymore. And that was the first loss I had in recovery, was somebody that, you know, you have that first love, and then you
Yes.
got your second, but then you got your one true person. I'm with my one true person now. But she was my first love. And to be in recovery or sober, but to be called to a hospital to pray over her or be there when they decided to pull the plug, it was one of the most spiritual moments. And so I don't usually think about her. I mean, every once in a while I will.
Mm-hmm.
But I did when you said that because I just remembered it was her birthday. So that will help me stay sober today.
It'll help me stay sober.
Yeah, yeah.
It's always those little. I remember when I was in Boston, I was messaging you, and you're like, "Hey, when you get back, I want you to come on my podcast." And and then I'm like hoping it's the day I land, and that.
And I don't want to give you false hope, but I want you to have enough time in there.
Yes, right? And I knew in the back of my mind that deadline would move. I knew it would, and it's those small goals, those small things that we feel they're small. They're not small, but when we cross those bridges, they mean so much. That little token, it means so much.
Mm-hmm. It's just a little nugget of what's to come.
Yep.
And I still think you got a lot of nuggets in front of you, bro. You got a lot of, because of your joy and your positivity and that law of attraction that you're putting off,
sir.
Things are going to happen for you. So keep doing what you're doing. I know that you're a great dad, and that's the most important. But you got to continue being good to yourself.
Yes, sir.
Kenneth, thank you so much for coming by this podcast today. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I'm proud of me too. It's been a long time since I could say that I was proud of me.
Yeah,
It's
you
been
should
a
be.
long time.
All right, so today on the Recovery Vow podcast, I've got a good friend, Kenneth, who's here, and he's going to be telling his story of what life has been like in recovery in the first year. He's the first guest I've had to talk about that, but you'll hear a few things in his story that I hope resonates with you, and that's one is the importance of being sober for yourself first so that you can be sober for your children, specifically your son in this case. The understanding that separation still happens in marriages. Not all marriages will make it, but still being a good co-parent for your children, and just understanding what struggle is like in addiction to meth, but what recovery is like today.